Hey everybody, this is Red here, and today we are going to talk about Crystalis, made by SNK back in 1990. So, if this game was to be true, October 1st of 1997 was the date when everything went awry. So if you are watching this video, congratulations on making it past 1997, and congratulations to me for making it out of high school. I was a freshman? No, I was sophomore in 1997. That just means I'm old. That's all that really means. So today we're going to do our usual. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the bad. And then any other random thoughts that I have. I actually do have my notes today. With the Ultimate 9 video, I seem to have lost it, maybe because I raged at it too much. So the first good thing is I love this movement. You have the 8 directions, so you can kind of, like whoop, 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 whoop. You're not stuck in those 4 directions. Because I even think something like Star Tropics, and please, YouTube community, correct me if I'm wrong. I think even Star Tropics had only like a four-way movement. But it's been forever since I've played Star Tropics. Because I did play this in the 90s. I didn't actually beat it until the 2000s. And then I'm kind of like, I saw it on the Switch game list. I'm like, you know what? I gotta play this again, make sure it's still, really, really good. And I like how all the swords act differently. I never typically equip the bracelets and stuff because they use your MP. I just kind of just go around and just use the level 2 that they automatically give you, even during boss fights. And I regret some of that during my playthrough where there was I probably should have used it instead of just powering through. Yeah, some of these have like a little neat. You have to charge up though, and they all, all the spells and stuff do something. And they're all, it's kind of you lock the story behind what the sword does. And when you equip the warrior ring, if you know where it is, it's by far probably one of the most broken items that you can get, because you can just keep shooting these at people all day long. Because if you don't have money or enough money to buy stuff to prep for the end game or anything like that, this is a great way just to go around and just kill enemies. And I probably should just leave this cave and continue to walk around. If you hear the washing machine, I am sorry. We've got emergency laundry going on right now. And the next thing is some really cool spells. I can just fly around, fly over enemies and stuff. And they give you, if you know where to get Dio's pendant, it's really neat too, because you can just stand there and just, get your MP back. There are a couple places where I cut the video right before a boss fight and stuff, so you guys don't have to watch that. If the people who lived through the 90s, and anytime there's a slow restore, you just sit there and restore, because they do give you an item that allows you to save in caves, which is really, really nice. Yeah, it's costly, but there's just the ability to save in a cave is great. And I think it's the opal statue that allows you to save in caves. So, and beyond that, there's, if there's a really good story there, it's not thick. It's got that NES kind of stuff going on where there's enough to keep you interested and enough interesting stuff to keep going on, but there's not a lot of kind of filler, especially like when you have to find Ketsu, I think that's his name, and he's wandering around transforming into other people and stuff. There's not a whole lot there. There is the transformation or the telepathy magic, which they give you hints, but sometimes those hints aren't really that great. And I wish my phone would stop going off. If you hear that as well, people need to know I'm doing a video. And there's a nice selection of kind of unique enemies, and as I'm just kind of just wandering around. Like those guys you can't hit until they pop out of the ground. And there's something else in the Dragonia fortresses that are just shadows. It doesn't overdo it. I'm talking about those enemies. It doesn't overdo it with kind of the NES difficulty. If you played something like Mother 1 or like the first Dragon Quest, at the end of the game you just run from enemies. You do not engage. You just run from them. And here it's not that bad. There's nothing too horrendously bad that you have to worry about. Like, well, I ran into this enemy and then now it's just gonna wipe me out. Even the bosses aren't overly difficult. They have some challenge, but they're not overly difficult at all. So I really do think this has a great range of difficulty. And going back to the talking to people, there's a really nice spell, the transform spell, and people do have different dialogues for those. So they if you're walking around as Stom, people will talk to you like you're Stom and everything. It's just a nice addition. That's something that probably didn't happen a lot, to my knowledge, back in the day. Like, they had limited space for for dialogue and for text and for action and for sprites. So it's kind of nice that they added some dialogue and stuff like that for the other people that you can transform into. So getting into kind of the bad things, sword switching. That is by far the most annoying thing in this game. Because you get the wind sword, and that first layer everybody's weak against wind sword. And then you get the fire sword, and then if you want to defeat the enemies, you have to change. And then when you get the water sword, it turns into a change. And then I don't think the Sword of Thunder, I don't think there's too many things that are resistant against it, but it's still kind of annoying. If they had the addition of an L and R button, that would be a great use of it, so you can just switch from sword A to sword B, however, make it a little bit faster. The swords also kind of don't power up, so if you're... I think this sword has a attack of 8, the wind sword is 1, I think it's like 2 and 4 for the fire and water sword. So if something's only weak against, like, these monsters are, I think, only weak against wind and the thunder sword. So you're stuck using the wind sword before you get the thunder sword on these enemies. So it only has attack power of 1. Now you can increase your attack power with the warrior ring, and you increase your attack power with level up, but it's still kind of annoying when they make you use the least powerful sword, and then you just have to kill the enemies with it, because that place is a lot more difficult because they meander around, just because you have to use the wind sword on them. magic and items using the same button. Again, with the increase of technology and the increase of buttons, even with the Super Nintendo, it would have been immensely helpful just to be able to push, item button, magic button, and then kind of go from there. I know there's limitations on the NES hardware, but it's just one of those small things that I've sometimes, I have too many buttons now to use, and now this doesn't have enough. The wooden bridges and dungeons, those are the most dangerous places that you could ever run into. I think I'll teleport to Leaf so I can show you one real quick. I get it, nothing happens. Stop. See, that would have been helpful to have the button right there. But under these wooden bridges is the most dangerous place because you really can't see. I know you can make them bigger by hitting it with thunder. Let's see if we can't. Oh, this is the path to the windmill. But they're because of kind of how the shading and stuff works, that the monsters are kind of hidden. It does the same thing with the text and stuff like that. It's the game right here. This is the most dangerous place in the game because you really can't see anything under it, and you just kind of have to either walk and hope or lay down some cover fire and get rid of everything underneath it. My last critical item, again, I think it's the limitations of the NES, but you can only hold 10 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's only 8 items. I just put 10 because I made a guess. Which is kind of low, but again, there's a lot of limitations because there's a limitation on you want to save it, you have to hit select, then start, and then select again to get out. And start is your menu. Again, just kind of some limitations and some menu stuff that if they had more processing power and cart size would have been hopefully would have been easily addressed. And my kind of last question, it's answered in the last scene, but it looks a lot of the time like he's walking around barefoot, and that seems rather dangerous. Maybe that's just me. When I go outside, I typically put on shoes, even though I'm from the South and I can walk barefoot. No, I'm going to put on shoes because there's bugs and dirt and stuff. No, thank you. And he's walking through deserts and mountains and everything else. But no, this question was answered in the last scene of the game. So kind of my overall thoughts about it. This is a game that needs a remake. It needs to be updated. It needs to be polished. I know they made one on, what was it, Game Boy Color, I believe. And it's still kind of roughly the same game, and they've, put it on the Switch Online for the NES. But this game really needs an update and a polish. And I don't want them to do what they did with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Renewal and Revivification and everything else. I can't keep up with all of them these days. That they need to just, update the sprites, update how you play, update there being multiple buttons and things like that. Not, we need to add a bunch of filler, because this game is really good as it is. I mean, this is kind of to me like a Blaster Master where it stands the test of time. It's just Blaster Master 1 and this could both use just like a new coat of paint, and I don't know if SNK makes games anymore. Being an adult and having a job makes it difficult to sometimes keep on top of all of these things, especially when you only have limited playtime. But no, I really, really enjoy this game. I recommend everybody kind of play this, but do play it with a grain of salt. It hasn't aged the best. It's still a good game, but there's still some quality of life things that a remake I think would really, really help. Like, you know, being able to hit L or R to switch swords without the bracelets or orbs, anything like that. I mean, I've loved this game since the 90s, and it's kind of when I was like, you should really go out and play it. And I hope some company hears this and says, Red, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna remake Crystalis. And I'm like, yes, here's my money. But that will be seen in the future. So I appreciate you guys if you stayed this long. There'll be another review coming out sometime in the future. Again, being busy with Mrs. and a kid I don't get all the time that I would like to sometimes. So, but no, leave your comments. If you think I've said anything wrong, please leave a comment. I appreciate comments because I'm old and set in my ways. So we'll see you guys around. Thanks.